Dear journalists, dear guests, welcome to the press conference. We are very delighted to welcome the President of the European Commission again here in Tallinn. The Prime Minister Kaja Kallas and the President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen just concluded bilateral meeting and will deliver short remarks. After that, it is possible for media to ask questions. The press conference is held in English with simultaneous translation into Estonian. First, Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear Ursula, dear members of the press, it is my great pleasure to welcome you here in Estonia. Thank you for the good and thorough discussions that we have had. I'm glad that we will be opening the Tallinn Digital Summit shortly that will focus on how to build trusted connections and trusted partnerships and how to avoid new dependencies, a topic that has a greater urgency given the ongoing Russian aggression. The embodiment of the trusted connectivity concept that Estonia has introduced is the European Union's global gateway, something you, Ursula, personally have been leading. I'm also happy that I can take you to Narva today, right on the external border of the EU. There we will launch Estonia's Just Transition Plan that will help us to deliver green transition for the people of Ida-Virumaa. We will also visit the Narva border crossing point and the Grenholm Manufactory, a place where our histories or the histories of our families meet. You were last in Estonia a year ago, and since then a lot has changed. Most notably, Russia waging a full-scale war against sovereign European country, and that has an effect on all of us. Dear Ursula, you have been on the forefront of the European response to Russian aggression and also European support to Ukraine. You understand well the Russian threat and what it means to our common security. Commission has translated your understanding into strong policy proposals. I thank you for the leadership in building and upholding the unity in the EU. Ukraine's success on the battlefield means that we have been on the right track and that we must make use of this momentum. It must be translated into ever-increasing and stronger support to Ukrainian soldiers, economy and its people. We all must do more so that Ukraine can free its territories. This is the way towards peace. And as you have rightly said, this is the time for us to show resolve, not appeasement. The war is not far from over, therefore also economic isolation and pressure on Russia must continue. Sanctions aim to dry up its war machine. It is important that a compromise was found on our additional EU sanctions, containing also a price cap on Russian oil. Russia crimes, including crimes of aggression, crimes against humanity and possible genocide, cannot remain unpunished. Our focus needs to be on how to achieve accountability. Impunity cannot be an option. And we cannot forget about the Ukrainian war refugees. Ukrainian refugees, mostly women and children, already form about 4.4% of our population. Our message to the European Commission is that European solution is needed to assist those fleeing the war inside Ukraine, as well as to support the member states who are providing shelter and protection to a large number of Ukrainian refugees. I would also like to thank the Commission for the work they have been doing in this regard. Next to the conventional war that Russia is waging on Ukraine, there is also a hybrid war and the war on information going on. We must pay attention to the stability of our societies because Russia's long-term interest is to divide us, not among the European member states, but also within our societies. And this brings me to my final point, which is energy. Russia has demonstrated very clearly how energy can be used as a weapon. This means we need to ensure the energy security in Europe, and we need to work on different tracks. decreasing energy prices, ensuring the security of supply, diversification of energy sources, and ending our dependence on Russian hydrocarbons, boosting investments to deliver green energy. At the moment, the most time-sensitive issue is to find common solutions to reducing energy prices. This will work only in case we find joint solutions and not fragment the EU single market. We discussed it last week in Prague and must continue with urgency. Here I also turn to the Commission for their leadership. This winter may be hard, but it is the price we must pay to put the stop to Russian aggression and its imperialistic dream once and for all. And the only way to do this is to demonstrate unity and strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. President of the Commission, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, dear Kaya. I'm glad to be here back in Tallinn. Thank you very much for a very good bilateral meeting, which is basically the continuation of our ongoing dialogue the two of us have all the time. Let me reflect on a few topics that you have mentioned. The first one is indeed Ukraine. I must say Estonia is an important player in our response to the Russian aggression, and I really thank you for your determination and being so steadfast and staunch. We share the same understanding of the threat that Putin poses, and I really want to thank you also for being one of the main drivers what the delivery of the 8 sanctions packages is concerned. As you said, it always needs unity, but it also needs member states like Estonia who are driving the unity forward. These sanctions are biting. We see by now the effect on the Russian economy, and we will keep up the pressure to drain Putin's war chest. What I also want to thank for is the warmth with which the Estonian people have opened their hearts and their homes to Ukrainian refugees. This is outstanding. This will be never forgotten. We support as much as we can through flexibilizing funds, but the big gesture of human solidarity is outstanding, and I really want to thank the Estonian people for that. We are in this together. The European Union is the most important supporter of Ukraine, together with the United States. Since the beginning of the war, we have supported Ukraine financially as Team Europe with up to 19 billion euros. This is not including the military capability and equipment support, which is mostly bilateral between member states and Ukraine, but also supported by the European Peace Facility financially. We have been discussing not only what we have done, but also what has to be done. We have the goal that we will have a stable, predictable, and flexible funding for Ukraine in these difficult months of war. And of course, we will be looking at the short-time recovery, for example, now the winter coming up, how we can support Ukraine in repairing the schools for the school children or providing shelter. This is a European task on the European level to support Ukraine with the internally displaced people, and this has been one of the topics we have been discussing. Moreover, we addressed the need to be vigilant regarding our external borders and visa for Russian citizens. We need rigorous controls. We will be at the border. This is why the European Commission provided guidance to our member states to strengthen security checks. We need also to be vigilant regarding the protection of our critical infrastructure. What happened to Nord Stream 1 and 2 shows that we have to be prepared for these new types of threats. The Commission has developed a 5-point plan to enhance the resilience. We will present and discuss that at the Digital Summit. And we will soon be present then with recommendations for the Member States, how to implement that and how to make it happen on the ground. And then the second big topic was, of course, the topic of energy. We have to protect European citizens from Putin's war on energy. Putin is strongly manipulating the energy markets. It is because of Putin and his war that the energy prices are high, gas prices are high, electricity prices are high. That is the price he wants us to pay. And that is how he tried to divide us in vain. He has not been successful. He will not be successful. So we have taken many steps in the past already to address the skyrocketing prices. Just to give you a figure, we have been able not only to get rid of Russian coal overall, but also till the end of the year we will wind down Russian oil to 10% of what we initially had. And if you look at the gas supply, the biggest factor, at the beginning of the war, of all imported gas, Russia had 40%. Now we are down to 7.5% within 7 months. So these were enormous efforts done successfully, diverting away from Russian fossil fuels towards reliable suppliers and invest in renewable energies that give us independence. We have also been discussing together how we look at the gas market overall with the skyrocketing prices. And indeed, we will come forward as a Commission in the next 2 weeks with proposals to tame the energy prices and to tame the electricity prices. The aim is to reduce the price to a certain level without endangering security of supply. But as I've said, the best way beyond this immediate action to intervene in the market and to limit the electricity and energy prices, the best way over time to get rid of any kind of blackmail from Russia is to accelerate the clean transition in renewable energy. And I know that Estonia has everything it takes to achieve this transition, and the European Union is, of course, here to support you in this transition towards renewable energy, to give you not only independence, but also to do the right steps in case of our climate. Finally, we will travel to Narva this afternoon to launch the Just Transition Plan for the Ida-Viru region. This is an investment plan of 354 million euros from the European Union to support the region's industrial transition and change, and to ensure that nobody is left behind in that region. Russia's war has confirmed the need for trusted partnership and trusted connectivity. Indeed, as you said, the Global Gateway Strategy can help deliver this. So I'm very much looking forward to the Digital Summit, and thank you for the attention.
Thank you. Now it's possible for me to ask questions. Please take your outlet you're representing, and please use microphone, and please also say to whom the question is addressed to. And first up is Estonian National Broadcaster, please.
Thank you. Tarmo Maiberg from Estonian Broadcasting Company. Question to both of you. Do you support international tribunal for war crimes in Ukraine? Because victims need some kind of, at least partially, justice. Thank you.
Yes, we strongly support international tribunals for war crime. It has to be brought before the law. From the very beginning on, we have supported Ukraine in collecting the evidence. That is very important. And of course, to make the case in the International Criminal Court, and to support the investigation teams that are on a regular basis going to Ukraine. It is of utmost importance that those who are responsible for these crimes are held accountable. This is the basis of our rule of law and the international rule of law.
Yes, we were discussing that as well. There are crimes of war crimes, and then there are crimes of aggression. And for prosecuting the crimes of aggression, we need the International Tribunal. So the question is, which organization is putting up the International Tribunal? And I see that European Union could be the embodiment, and of course other countries can join, because this is something, the war crimes are crimes that are committed in Ukraine. The crimes of aggression are the crimes of really attacking another country. And therefore, I think European Union should have a leading role in putting together this international tribunal.
Thank you. Second question, Delphi, please.
Hello, this is Grete Bullester from Delphi. A question to the President of the Commission regarding the next sanctions package. What would you say, or maybe you could give your stance on how should it look like, how fast should it be done? And a follow-up question is, like, there are loopholes that people can escape the sanctions from, through the loopholes. How would you say the EU has learned from the previous loopholes, and how will they be tackled in future?
So we just issued and agreed on the 8th package of sanctions a few days ago. Therefore, it is important now to implement it and to create a track record. And what the loopholes and circumvention is concerned, overall, the sanctions are really biting. We see that in the Russian economy. It is absolutely going down the drain. And what we see is by now that our export bans are having a very severe impact on the economy. For example, slowing down any kind of production of high-tech products, having an effect on the military complex. That's exactly what we wanted. Production, for example, of automobiles has almost come to a standstill. So these are the topics that were expected from the sanctions. We have issued the 8th package of sanctions, and we learn from one package to the next one about circumvention and loopholes, and over are then in the follow-up package closing those loopholes and circumventions. What we've done, for example, in the 8th package, that's very important, is that we said in third countries, if you take European goods, bring them to third countries, and then bring them to Russia, the person who does that, or the entity who does that, will be listed by us. So this is a very strong deterrent to make sure that we do not have a circumvention through third countries towards Russia.
So thank you. This is unfortunately all the time we have. The President is expected in Kadriorg. And thank you for following, and thank you for coming. Have a nice day. Thank you.